Now on to part two of what the start of the investigation into Trump and Russia collusion was. And this was the idea that George Papadopoulos, who was a low-level staffer that came on with Trump's campaign, got drunk. He met with this Maltese professor Mifsud, and Mifsud gave him all this information, tried to hook him up with Russians because Mifsud was a Russian intelligence asset. And in the process, Mifsud told Papadopoulos that the Russians had dirt on Hillary in the form of emails, and then Papadopoulos got drunk and told Hillary Clinton friend Alexander Downer, who was an Australian diplomat, that Russians had dirt on Hillary in the form of emails. And then after the hack of the DNC, this was used as the impetus for starting the investigation into Trump-Russia collusion. Now, this story is nonsense on its face. I was writing as far early as May 2018, which I'll link below, about why this is nonsense. Think of the precedent this sets. Everybody thought that Hillary's private server had been hacked. People have been talking about it for years, said all sorts of enemies and friends probably hacked it. If some guy says, hey, I'm a Russian, and says to some low-level staffer, hey, we got emails that are bad looking for your opponent, and this guy gets drunk, doesn't say, yeah, give those emails to us, doesn't say, we'll help, will give you a quid pro quo to get these emails, just gets drunk and tells your opponent's friend, hey man, some Russian guy says he has emails about Hillary Clinton. That's it? That's enough to start this investigation? Absolute nonsense. But aside from that, let's go with what Mueller said specifically. Now, I'll link below Jim Jordan's actual questioning of Mueller, which was absolutely fantastic. And what Jordan gets him to admit is this. This is another instance where it shows that Mueller has no clue what's in the report that holds his name. Jordan's like, okay, the start of the investigation we're told was George Papadopoulos, right? Yeah, that's what we're told. Okay, Papadopoulos, where did he get this information from? Who set him up with the Russians? Who told him that the Russians had these emails? And Mueller's like, I don't know, I can't talk about that. Yes, you can, because it blatantly says that Mifsud, this Maltese professor, that actually ends up having all sorts of connections to Western intelligence sources, such as he worked at a university that's known to be something that works with the UK and the CIA. He worked at an Italian university that's known to work with the CIA and with Italian intelligence. He's been connected to people in Brussels and with the EU that have connections to Washington intelligence and UK intelligence. And all of his friends said they were shocked to learn that he had connections to Russians. They'd never heard of that, but they knew that he had all these secretive connections with people in the Western intelligence agencies. But despite all of that, right, which is what I'll get to at the end here, despite all of that, the official story that Mueller and them are pointing to us is Mifsud had connections to these shady Russians. He was an agent of Russia. Okay, we got that. Why wasn't Mifsud charged? On that alone, we charged 13 Russian trolls, so why wouldn't we charge someone who was involved or knew about the hacking of the DNC emails? Now, of course, this wasn't proof of hack of the DNC emails, because like I said, Mifsud could have just been saying, yeah, everybody assumes that Hillary's server was hacked, so sure, we got emails. It's not proof of the DNC hack, but that's what they want you to believe, so then why wouldn't Mifsud be charged? Now you might say, well, they couldn't charge him with just knowing about that. He needed to do something else like Papadopoulos, like lie. Okay, well, Jim Jordan points out, Mueller's own report says that Mifsud lied 3 times to the FBI. So if Papadopoulos, the go-to guy, he wasn't even the guy that was attached to Russian intelligence. That's Mifsud. So Mifsud's worse than Papadopoulos. Mifsud originated the claims, was the one who was apparently connected to Russian intelligence, if we believe the official story. So if he also lied to the FBI, and Mueller thought so, why did Mueller decide not to charge Mifsud? He just says, I won't talk about it. This is more proof of the shadiness of Mueller. Now, he's not going to talk about why he allowed a high-level, apparently Russian intelligence asset who was trying to get connections to Trump. He's not going to charge him. Doesn't charge him. He'll charge 13 trolls that were posting things on Facebook. Again, doesn't it seem convenient that it's always just people connected to Trump get charged, other people that had connections to Hillary Clinton and others, they get let go for the exact same crimes? If Mueller was actually interested in stopping Russian interference, why wouldn't he go to this guy who was the source of it all? He started what became the investigation, we're told. Now, as I said, I'll link below my documents. I think you should, or my write-up that I had with this in May 2018. I think there's way more shadiness that goes on with this. And Jim Jordan says at the end, why didn't you charge him? Is he Russian intelligence or is he Western intelligence? And Mueller says, I can't answer that. Because it might turn out that he was Western intelligence. But there's only 2 possibilities right here, and both of them are damning for Robert Mueller. The first possibility is this, that it is as reported, that Mifsud was the person who told Papadopoulos that Russians had these hacked emails, and that he tried to get he tried to facilitate Papadopoulos getting basically co-opted by Russian intelligence to get involved in the U.S. electoral system. This means he's kind of the first guy who was responsible for trying to get Russians to interfere. Way more high up the food chain than 13 Russian trolls that we don't even have proof were connected to Putin. So, given all that, Robert Mueller sees this. Robert Mueller knows that this guy not only did all that, but lied to the FBI and still decides not to charge him. Now, you might say, yeah, but even if he charged him, what are the chances of ever getting him extradited? Same with the Russian trolls. Same with the Kremlin agents that he did charge. The members of Kremlin intelligence. So why let this guy go? It makes no sense. There's only two reasons in this scenario why you let him go. Because you're grossly incompetent, and that you're not even using average intelligence to say, oh, here was a Russian spy that influenced our election and he lied to the FBI. We should charge him and then see if he'll flip and we can find out. Wasn't this the whole point? Isn't that why they were that's what they were doing Manafort? That's what they did with Papadopoulos. That's what they did with Flynn. They tried to get them to flip on Trump. So wouldn't you get this guy Mifsud to try to get him to flip on his Russian handlers so you could get a better idea of who exactly else might be spies and how exactly did they infiltrate our system? But no, instead Mueller lets him go because he's grossly incompetent. Or because, number two, the story isn't what we're being told. And you can see in the link I'll provide below, my name's Grambler on that site, but I'm the one who started the thread, that I outline exactly all the context of how actually Mifsud has contacts with people connected to Hillary Clinton's campaign with Western intelligence. Now think of the implications of that. That would explain why he wasn't charged by Mueller, because Mueller knows the truth. This wasn't some Russian. This was a guy that was working for the intel agencies. If that's true, then the entire start of this investigation was as follows. The intel agencies put Mifsud up to talk to Papadopoulos, just like they did the woman they called Azra Turk, just like the guy Stephen Halper that they sent. This guy made up this big grandiose story and said, hey, the Russians have dirt on Hillary. Papadopoulos gets drunk, tells Hillary's friend, Alexander Downer, who's an Australian diplomat, hey, I was told that Russians have dirt on Hillary. And that was the reason for the start of the investigation into spying on Trump and people connected to him. That would explain why they never arrested anyone for actually colluding with Russia, because they knew it was a sham from the get-go. They fed the information to George Papadopoulos, and then when George Papadopoulos repeated the information, they started an investigation into Papadopoulos. Which means the entire investigation, the very start of it, was a sham by the U.S. intelligence agencies designed to spy on Trump. It was all based on a lie. So it's only one of two choices. Either Mueller allowed a Russian spy who lied to the FBI to get away with it and refuses to talk about why, which shows that his entire investigation is garbage and a scam. Or it turns out Mifsud was actually a U.S. or a Western intelligence asset and that Mueller didn't charge him because of that, which shows that the entire investigation is a witch hunt. This should outrage every single person, and the fact that it's not being talked about on the majority of the media is outrageous. It means, again, why would we leave a Russian spy go that lied to the FBI? We'll charge Flynn, who didn't do anything to harm the United States. We'll charge Papadopoulos, who didn't do anything to harm the United States. But a guy who did have harm, that's supposedly a Russian spy, who committed the same crime, lied to the FBI, he's allowed to go. It's absolute nonsense, and every single person should be outraged. Even if you hate Trump and you believe the official narrative, then what we're talking about here is a Russian spy who attacked our country, who was trying to facilitate the hacking of the emails of Hillary Clinton and getting that information into the West to harm Hillary Clinton's chances. That's what we're told, was allowed to let go, even though he lied to the FBI. That's what your hero Mueller did. And we think he was competent to have this investigation? Absolutely not. So it's either that or it was corrupt from the get-go, and thankfully Barr and people like Huber and Horowitz are looking into this, and hopefully we get to the bottom. Again, this is why it's so important. I just check out my previous video I did in the Steel, and the fact that Mueller refused to talk about those Russians. He refused to talk about these Russians. He's selectively allowing Russians to go that have connections to Hillary Clinton, even though these Russians had far more impact than people like the trolls that he charged. So I'll be putting out more videos on Mueller's testimony, so look for that. Follow me on BitChute as well at Robert Noor. I'm at Twitter at NorRobert. And please like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers so I can do some mobile live streaming when I go to some political events. I think that'll be good. And look for more material soon. So thanks, everyone, and have a good one.